Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to have you welcome translator and time traveler Valen Ark. And just getting right to it. Yuki-kun, you know what to do. Let's go. Hello, welcome back. We're gonna just start learning Japanese right away this time. Alright, let's go. Let's get going, alright? Boom. What's this? This is vocabulary from last time, okay? And we finished it. Look at that. Right there. We ended chapter 2 vocabulary as we start doing the grammar and activities in chapter 2. We will continue on with those today as well. But I'll have you know that we are also going to start, here's the book, Minna no Nihongo, chapter 3 vocabulary, so that we're all ready to go for next chapters. As we're doing this chapter, we're learning the vocab for the next chapter, so we can just smoothly transition. You like that? That's how it works. Okay. And we're starting off today with, fairly easy stuff here. We got here, there, and that place over there. We got a pattern here with all of these here, there by you, and there far away, right? We've learned several of these types of words before, so this is just going to repeat that same pattern. And then we're also going to learn how to say where, and how to say all of them again in a more polite, more formal way. And then you know what? We'll throw in a couple kanji words vocab today too. All right, it's been a while since we've had that, and we don't want your brain rotting, so we're gonna have to put some more of those in there. Okay, open up your brain cavity, get ready, because here we go. We have continued upping the production quality of the stream. We got a slightly changed format here because I know that some people still have trouble reading at the pace that I'd like to do this class, so I have provided Romaji here just in case you need it. Remember, you do not write Japanese using Romaji. Always write using hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Okay, this is just for your benefit in reading, all right? Anyway, what we have here is koko, and it just simply means here, this place, okay? And can I write on the canvas? Thanks. You remember your hiragana? Ko. Okay? Koko. That's it. Does it mean chocolate? No, that would be kokoa. Okay, don't get it confused. Boom. Soko. So. Ko. There. That place near you. Remember, let me ask you a question here. Do you remember kore, which means this, right? And sore, which, let's write like this, sore, which means that, okay? Do you see the pattern that's followed here? Ko, so, before we had koko, which means here. Now we have soko, which means there, that place near you. So can you wager a guess at what the next one's gonna be? That's right, it's asoko. It's actually kind of difficult to guess if you're figuring this one out for the first time, because the last one in the set for this, that, and that way over there would be are means that, away from us speaking together, right? So there, that place over there away from us is asoko. Okay, so all together, what do we have? We have koko, soko, and asoko. Okay, all together, here, there, and there as in way far away from me and you. Okay, does that make sense to you? Hopefully it does. They all follow the same pattern, these like sets of 3 that we've been doing over and over again. So I know they can get confusing, don't worry about it. The introduction portion where I show you the vocabulary is just to get you familiar with it, just to give you a little touch, a little taste, a little lick of each word. And then when we actually practice them in the wild while we're doing the activities, that's when it's really hopefully going to solidify in your head. Okay, so don't worry too much about it until then. I do want you to throw all of these into your rotation, of course. That's what we do with this vocabulary. Okay, throw it into your notebook and write them. Mix in the old words as you're writing the new words so that you're reviewing old vocab as you're memorizing the new vocab, right? We don't sit there and write the same vocabulary word 100 times because that's boring and it's gonna make you want to quit. All right, so always be mixing, always be rotating. Okay, always maintain the rotation, okay? Good. Because what do we got next? Doko. Where? Okay, now this is a new one because this is like the 4th one in this set. And up until now, we've only had sets of 3 saying like this, that, and that, or here, there, and there. And right now, we're gonna actually ask a question. This is usually used when you're asking questions, right? When you want to ask where, and you would say doko, right? Now remember, when we want to write do, we haven't had much practice writing this character. Make sure to include the tenten, because if you don't, you're just writing to. Okay, this would be do, right? Hiragana only. Should be very easy to throw into your rotation. Next up, we've got kochira. Now, you'll notice I've written up here for your viewing pleasure, polite/formal, because, and I want to make this clear, this is essentially the same word as koko, the word we learned first. The only difference is not in its meaning. They both mean here or this place. The only difference is that this one is more formal, okay? And thus could be seen as more polite. Doesn't mean that koko is impolite, but it's just default. This is when you want to go above and beyond, right? So you would say, instead of, let's just put this here for reference. Instead of koko, we would say kochira. Kochira. They both mean here. Well, when do you use each one? You know, what's the main difference with that? Don't worry about that for now. We'll practice that during activity time, okay, kids? Thanks. Don't worry about it. Just know there's a difference between the two. And likewise, before we had soko, right? That's the second word we learned today. Likewise, there's a polite, formal word for that too, and it's sochira. So we had originally soko, and now we have sochira. Again, they both mean there. So you probably see the pattern going on here, hopefully. And the last one, we'll round it out here. So if we had before, default politeness would be asoko, the third word we did today. The more polite version is achira. Okay, so we had asoko, right? Which means there, like way over there, right? And now we have achira. And these both mean they're way away from me and you. Yay. Okay, that's what that means. And it's just more polite and formal, okay? So, all together now. Kochira, sochira, and achira, which are the polite/formal versions of koko, soko, and asoko. Okay, these are all on the vocab list, and we will be going over them in the future. So I know that's a lot to throw at you right away. Don't worry about it. And we'll round this set off with, how do we ask where more politely, more formally? There is a word for that too, and it's dochira. It follows the same pattern. Before we had doko. And now, more polite, more formal. どちら? They both mean where. And for どちら, in some cases, it can be used like the English phrase which way. Okay, so there you go. You've got all of them. Boom. So we have a bunch of kanji vocabulary words, but I'm only going to give you 2 for this time because I know that was a lot. So let's do just 2 words today for your kanji vocabulary. And the first one is 教室. And you'll see here I've included the romaji, like I said, but also I have included the hiragana reading as well, because you need to get used to reading these words using this and not this. Okay, this is a crutch that I am providing to you. Some of you don't need it, but some of you do. And I want to get you off that crutch as soon as possible. You should be able to read hiragana at this point. If not, you still need to be focusing heavily on that rotation and not moving along with this class. Okay, there are videos way back in the series on hiragana, all of them, and all of the katakana. So go watch those and practice until you get to the point where you can read these. Okay, good. All right, so what do we do when we have kanji vocab? Well, we go on over to our pal Jisho, and we look it up. 教室. And again, we haven't done this in a while. Let me give you a little refresher here. When I type in Japanese, I just type the same as it would be in Romaji. So you see I'm typing your K, Y, O. It turns into kyo. Shi, tsu. Space. First, it's the first word on the list. Lucky us. Kyoshitsu. Classroom. Lecture room. Department in a university? Not really. It's just classroom, guys. Just memorize it as classroom, okay? And come on over here to the kanji writing portion, the stroke order, okay? Stroke order is important. Always try to follow it, even if your Professor Valen does not. Let's take a look at the animation real quick, shall we? Straightforward. This animation and all the ones for every other word in existence are here on Jisho. Jisho.org, okay? .org. Go there and always be looking at this. All right? So here's the exploded view if you need it. And now let's try our hand at it, okay? Valen, do your best, buddy. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and this part here, this one that means, if it was written by itself, would mean child. Remember that? You can get into the habit of writing this first part of it all in one stroke like that, and then doing this as the second stroke. But I just want you to know that technically it is 2, just like that. Okay, or two for the first part, and then the horizontal line for the third. All right. So that is kyo, the kyo portion of kyoshitsu, which happens to mean teach. Can also sometimes be used as faith or doctrine. And the second part of the word, shitsu, which means room. Can also be used as apartment or chamber or greenhouse or cellar. I'm not sure that it's ever used as that, but sure. Mostly it just means room. It's used in a lot of different words as the second or third or whatever. It's usually the last part of the word, and it means something room. In this case, if we had the word kyo first, teach, and then we put room after that, shitsu, kyoshitsu, teach room, yeah, classroom. Okay, so you can see how the words, the kanji are combined to make all sorts of different rooms. All right, this one's pretty easy. Let's take a look. Boom. Okay, and here's the exploded view. They are split up in boxes here. This one, when I look at this one, it always confuses me, but it's saying do this first and then go to the left, because this is a second box here. The left and start and go down. All right, so don't get tripped up if you're looking at the exploded view here. Okay, let's give it a go. Start with the top, Then there's the second one going to the left. And the third one is one complete stroke from left to right, and including the corner down, right? Horizontal line. Right, it's straightforward, just easy, just like this. Horizontal, then vertical, then horizontal, okay? Boom. 教室. Classroom. Teach room. Okay, this is why we don't directly translate, because then you'd end up with words like teach room. It's classroom. All right, good. Thanks. Let's go to the next and final vocab word for today. Shokudo. Shokudo. And shokudo means cafeteria or dining hall. Depends on the context, depends on the translator. Let's go check it out. Shokudo. You'll see there, it's giving me a bunch of predictions already, but if I start hitting space, if I hit space again, it's going to give me other words too. And there aren't really that many words that this could turn into. So it's this one right here. And you'll see here, we've got two parts of this one. And the first one means eat, or it can also be used in food. Because the word for food, which we're learning right now, is tabemono. Right? Tabemono. Which literally means eat thing. Eat and do, which would be public chamber, I guess. Yeah, hall is probably more accurate. It's another way of saying, so before we learned shitsu, which is like room, which is usually, fairly small. It's not like huge. This would be the difference here. Do is usually means larger, some kind of larger enclosed space where people do something. All right, so let's take a look at the stroke order for the first one here. Boom. In this case, in this word pronounced shoku. But you'll see there are many different readings up here for it, depending on the word. In this case, it is the first onyomi, the first on reading, shoku. You don't need to know that. That's high advanced stuff. That's for those of you who enjoy the trivia portion of this show. Here is the exploded view. Take a look. Let's do it. Give it a nice little roof there to start with, okay? There we go. Boom. And now you might be tempted to do this first and then this. No, wrong, bad. It's this first. Leave it out there hanging in the air and then attach it, okay? Why do they do that? I don't know. That's the way it's done, so do it right. Okay, and the next part, do. Let's take a look. Top left to bottom right, as usual. Pay attention, you got the little squigglies up top, okay? You're gonna start with the one in the center first, and then do the left, and then do the right, okay? Let's check it out. So give it the little things up top first. Center, left, right, then give it one of these. Remember from shitsu also had this at the top, right? It's the same thing. Then we're gonna give it the box. The box is almost always the same. So much so that I just did it there without explaining. Left, corner, and then from left to right for the bottom. Right, as usual. Then give it one of these, and one of these, and one of those. Shokudo. Cafeteria. Mostly just like cafeteria. The book wants you to know that right now. I guess we're probably going to use it during this upcoming chapter 3. But not to worry. Throw that in your rotation along with the other vocabulary words we learned today, and get learning on them. But don't worry too much about them just yet, because today, starting from today, we are going to do a continuation of last time for chapter 2 with the example sentences, and then if we have time, we will move into an example conversation. So you'll remember from last time, we were breaking down the example sentences, and we were breaking them down word by word and the grammatical structure and why things get moved the way they do when you're translating from Japanese to English. So today we're going to continue on with the last 3 in the set. And if you're following along with Minna no Nihongo, they are following the same order and same patterns, basically, as the book for the example sentences for chapter 2. I'm mixing them up as far as the vocab words a little bit just to make them my own. Okay, but you can follow along in the book and get extra practice if you want to do that. So, first things first, we are on 6th example sentence here. And the question is, so first of all, we see there's a question. There's probably going to be an answer. This is going to be something between two people, two speakers here. And the first person says, what do they say? あれは誰の傘ですか? And if you can't read that, don't worry. We're going to continue breaking it down here. あれはway over there, not near us, by the way, for that. Because remember, それ would be that near you. We're talking about something far away from you and the speaker. So, あれは would be the topic marker. Whenever we have は, we know we're opening the is bucket with です, right? So just keep that in the back of your head as we move forward. あれは誰? Remember, 誰? Who? And you could just write it in hiragana, like this, 誰. You don't have to write it with the kanji. I've taught you the kanji just so you have it in your kanji arsenal if you want to start busting it out in times of kanji war. I know that it's a difficult weapon to use, but sometimes you gotta do it. あれは誰? あれは誰の possessive particle. 傘 umbrella. ですか is question mark, so we're asking a question, right? So what's going on here? That is, remember when we have the is bucket, in Japanese you usually open at some point towards the start of the sentence with wa, and then you say a bunch of stuff that is, and then you close it with des, or in this case desu ka, because we're asking a question, right? And that's the question particle. So that's review. And that's why we move the is over to here. Okay? Because in English, we say it first. In Japanese, they say it twice and split. But technically, des is the word that means is. Wa is just technically the topic marker, which we don't use in English, okay? And if you already get it and you're saying, Valen, why you keep saying that? Because some people have a really hard time with this, and it is fundamental to Japanese that you understand this, okay? If you're still having trouble with it, please drop me a line, and I will try my best to explain it in different terms just for you. Do you like that? Okay, let's move on. That is whose. Now, this construction is not one we've seen before because we haven't practiced using dare, which is who. Just like when we have... Remember when we had watashi, I, or me, no, possessive particle? Remember when we had these two, they would combine to be my or mine, right? Just like that in this case, dare no, who, possessive particle, becomes whose. Okay, straightforward. In Japanese, you don't need to make separate words. In English, we make separate words. We have I, and we have the word, for example, of, which would be a possessive particle in English. So what they're really saying here in Japanese is who of. Or switch the order of the grammar for English of who. And so in English, we have a separate word for that called whose. In Japanese, they just use the same words in order. That's it. That's the difference, okay? Whose. Dare no kasa, umbrella. That is whose umbrella. Question mark, that is whose umbrella? So what are we saying? Whose umbrella is that? And the answer says Takahashi. This is a name, and it's not in your rotation. I haven't forced you to memorize this. So don't worry too much about that. Takahashi-san no kasa desu. Takahashi-san no kasa desu. So what's going on here? Takahashi-san, Mr., Miss, Mrs., etc. And even in the cases in English where we wouldn't use Mr. or Mrs. or Miss, because it would sound weird or something, you would still want to put it next to the person's name in Japanese. It's because it's just the default level of politeness, and not using it can be seen as impolite unless you are on really good terms with somebody, or you're representing them as part of the company that you both work at. when you're speaking to a customer or something. That's like high-level stuff. Don't worry about that. Just for now, it's always going to be safe to add sang. It's probably going to say that's Mr. Takahashi's, right? Because we have the possessive particle, no. Kasa, umbrella. Des, is. So, Mr. Takahashi, possessive particle, umbrella is. So what's going on here? Is, remember, in Japanese, even though it's last, we're going to move it forward in English because that's the order it needs to be in English. Is Miss Takahashi, in this case. You wouldn't know that without context. I'm just telling you that this person is Miss Takahashi. Is Miss Takahashi's, because we're using Takahashi-san no, right? Possessed particle in English. We could add apostrophe S to somebody's name to make it say that it belongs to them, right? Is Miss Takahashi's umbrella. And in English, we probably want to throw on the word that is Miss Takahashi's umbrella. In Japanese, it's not necessary to say that. However, you could say that. For example, if you wanted to say areba, because remember, these two people here, this one asking the question and the one giving the answer, are talking to each other about an umbrella that is not near them, because they're saying are. Are wa dare no kasa desu ka? You could, if you wanted to say, are wa Takahashi-san no kasa desu. And then this wa and des would work just here the same way, wa and des. Okay? The reason we're not including it here is not because we can't or shouldn't, it's just because we don't need to. It's understood based on the context because the person who asked the question already specified where and what we're talking about. And in fact, they've even specified that we're talking about kasa, umbrella. So if we want to be really technical, we could even say, we could break this sentence down even further and just say Takahashi-san no, or Takahashi-san no desu. You don't even need to include kasa for umbrella because we already know we're talking about that. But just to keep things nice and simple and clean here, I've kept it just as is up here, all right? So you'll see that as you get more comfortable with these grammatical constructions and you get more used to listening to native Japanese, you will understand when you can leave words out and when it's natural sounding to shorten sentences and stuff. And I will be here to teach you some of that, but a lot of it comes down to practice as well. So if you're not totally grasping when can I leave off certain words, don't worry about it for now. You're still at a beginner's level if you're following this class. All right. So that was the question and answer for the sixth example here. And let's move on to number 7. Question. この机はあなたのですか? So what are we asking here? This. Remember この? This. And remember the difference between この and これ. これ also means this, right? Do you remember the difference? Quiz, pop quiz. The difference is, pop quiz answer, この must have something following it. It's specifying this, for example, in this case, desk, 机. This desk. So when could we use これ? When we're not specifying something after it. There is nothing after これ. It's just this, for example, is the rest of the sentence. In this case, we're saying this desk is, and then the rest of the sentence. That's the difference between the two. In English, we'd use this in either case. In Japanese, if you're specifying some kind of noun or something afterwards, you need to use この. Okay? That is review. But it is a review for those of you who need it. この机 desk. この机はあなたのですか? この机はあなたのですか? This desk, you, this particle is. This desk is your. Remember, when we have something plus the possessive particle, we can probably combine it into a more natural word in English. In Japanese, it's just left as is, but in English, we have tons of words that are separate from their original constituents that include the possessive part. So in this case, anata, you, and possessive particle would become in English your, right? Your, question mark? This desk is your, question mark? Is this desk yours? Is this your desk? There's two perfectly reasonable ways to translate this into English. But in any case, this is not a reasonable way to translate it in English. This desk is your. No, in English, we'd have to put the S there, and we probably want to put the is first, right? So you'll see the difference here. The reason I'm showing you this is because it'll help you understand how Japanese is structured, but also how you need to restructure it if you're translating into English. If you don't plan on translating into English, you don't really need to worry about this. Just understand the structure of the Japanese and you'll be fine to communicate with people in Japanese. But if you also want to be able to translate to English and thus really understand the structure of both languages, you take a look at this and that's what's being explained here. So, the answer, the person answering is saying, いいえ、私のじゃありません。いいえ、私のじゃありません。No, I, me, or I, yeah. No, I, possessive particle, is not. You probably know what's going on here already, because we know what this can turn into, right? And yes, you can also use janai for the 700th time. You do not have to say jarimasen, you could say janai. Janai is less formal. Okay, jarimasen is just default politeness. So what we're saying here is no, my is not. No, it's not mine. If we want to restructure that into natural English. That's it, it's that simple. Okay? And by the way, if you really wanted to answer this in natural spoken Japanese, the person says, この机はあなたのですか? Is this desk yours? You could just say, いいえ. And you don't have to continue on and use all this stuff. This is really just textbook answers to help you understand how the grammar works and stuff. And you could even just get away with saying, yeah. Instead of いいえ. Yeah is like a shorthand way of saying no, but you got to be careful with that because you don't want to say it to some people because it could be kind of rude. Anyway, that is example number 7. Let's move on to the last example sentence for chapter 2. Question. この椅子は誰のですか? この椅子は誰のですか? This chair, topic marker who, possessive particle is, question mark. This chair is whose? Same thing going on here. We're combining who and possessive particle to make the English word whose. Question. And again, as review, we do not say the question mark in English. We don't say this chair is whose question mark. We simply raise the inflection, the tone of our voice. In Japanese, you do need to say ka, even though it technically is like a question mark. And yes, you would usually raise the inflection of your voice in Japanese as well. You just do both things, okay? So how do we say this in more natural English? Whose chair is this? This chair is whose? Yes, that would convey the meaning in English. The person would probably know what you're saying, but whose chair is this is probably the more natural way to say it in English. And the person answering says, 私のです. 私のです. What are these? What are those? I'll tell you. Is mine. So in more natural English, it. Sorry about that, Yuki-kun. Where are you? Sorry about that. You're such a good boy helping us out here. Pat. Okay. It is mine. That's it. This was a simple one. And it's a nice way to round it all off. この机は誰のですか? Whose chair is this? But literally translated word for word in that order would be, this chair is whose, right? And the answer, 私のです. Literally translated, I, possessive particle, is, but in Japanese things are backwards, right? So it is mine. All right, perfect. I think that probably wraps it up for today. This is going to be a short one. And the reason is we have a conversation coming up that I want to spend a little time on explaining, and I don't want to cram it into the tail end of this episode. So I think we will leave it at that for this time, and that'll give you more time to absorb this stuff before next class. If you do have any questions, please drop me a line directly to my face. Come directly to my face and stamp the line on my forehead so that I can read it clearly. And as soon as I receive your message, I will, post haste, as soon as possible, respond to you and answer your question, as long as it is a legitimate question and not spam from a Twitch bot. I don't like those. I'm not going to answer those. Okay? We are continuing on with Chapter 2 with the conversation next time and some other stuff, and we'll also be continuing on with Chapter 3 vocab in preparation for Chapter 3. So, with that said, keep up your rotation, keep absorbing this information, and I will see you next time. So with that said, take care.